that the school counseling department focuses really hard on the 4 years that we have your children, getting them ready for life, getting them ready for life after high school, getting to be independent, resilient. We're trying to work with them, from day one to pick classes that are going to be challenging but manageable, work on their mental health while they're doing that, and keeping a full caseload of courses where they're preparing themselves for college, work, military, whatever their plans are after high school. And we work really close with those students, and we love doing that. I'm going to pass the mic over to one of our school counselors, Sarah Gormley.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Gormley, and I'm going to briefly share our role as school counselors and how we support students. We help with academic advising, including academic planning, monitoring graduation progress, and providing interventions when students need extra support. We also provide social-emotional counseling, meet with students individually, help them navigate challenges, and connect families with social workers and other resources when needed. Another important part of our role is college and post-secondary planning, helping students explore and prepare for their next steps after high school. Throughout the year, we run grade level workshops and meet with families so we can work together to support each student's success. Here are some ways we stay connected with students throughout the year. We use tools like grade level Google Classrooms. We have our AHS school counseling website and a monthly counseling newsletter to share important information and resources. We also meet with students for course selection, provide referrals to resources, and meet with students and teachers. In addition, we use Naviance to help students with self-exploration and future planning. Thank you, and I will be passing it off to Ann Benson.
Hi everyone, my name's Ann. We thought it would be helpful to put a little slide in here about the adolescent brain. I know, I think the point that I was laughing about too before, this area, the frontal lobe, is the last to develop, and it's the one we want to develop right this very moment. So what does the frontal lobe do? It helps you have a high level of reasoning, make good decisions, act less impulsively. So this is something that, while they're, leaps and bounds better than, their brain functioning is more sophisticated than when they were in middle school, first grade, second grade, they still have a long way to go. So we mention this to remind ourselves that their frontal lobe is still developing, and to offer grace to them as they come to school every day and manage a lot of things, homework, tests, interpersonal relationships, family dynamics, but just something for us all to remember. It's a work in progress. We talk a lot about social media in our group seminars, just kind of important reminders for parents. Most students in this building have cell phones and have social media accounts. It's important to be aware of what accounts your student has. What are they on? What are they posting? Just a reminder, every student in this building has been receiving lessons on bullying, there's a zero tolerance policy for cyberbullying and other bullying. So we just like to remind them of that and affirm the importance of good behavior online. One thing as they kind of build their online presence is managing privacy. So we encourage students to set privacy settings to control who can view and tag your photos. Obviously, there's an underlying message from us, and I'm sure from you, is you don't post anything or pictures without people's permission or anything that is negative or unkind. The billboard rule, if you wouldn't want it on a public billboard, do not post it on social media. And then also the notion of curating your web presence for positivity is important. We know that saying, don't be on social media is unrealistic for most everyone. So we try and manage expectations and help them curate a web presence that is positive. So it's not uncommon, I'm sure you see it at home, if your student is upset or stressed, we keep a really close eye on whether or not, and so do the teachers, they're really the eyes and ears of the classroom, do they notice a change in your student's behavior? That can look different for everyone's student, but things to look out for, really like a drastic mood change, if their grades start to plummet, maybe it's really tough to get them out of bed or they're going to bed too late. One thing we really look closely for is if they're feeling a sense of worthlessness, loss of hope. Sometimes substance abuse can dovetail in there, just things to keep in mind. And if you see this at home, please don't hesitate to call us so we can partner with you. We have a lot of resources and organizations that we work outside of school. You have us, the school counselors, as well as there's school social workers. But these are just some things that we want you to kind of keep a close eye on. Lack of motivation, maybe a shift in personal hygiene. It is not easy to be a teen, and it's certainly not easy to be a parent. So you have us to partner with so we can help if you notice any of these signs of distress. Okay. I'm sorry, it's going negative. Let's bring it up. We'll talk about some positive. This is June Choi. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm June Choi, one of the counselors. I don't know if I'll bring it up in here, but next slide will bring it up. This slide talks about a couple of the screeners that we have to kind of detect if there are concerns amongst our students. The first one is the Panorama Survey, which was administered to all students in the fall, and that helps identify students who might need extra support. And then the second one is called SBIRT. It's given to all 9th grade students, and that one focuses on substance use and risk factors related to that, and those will take place in a few weeks. Now we'll bring it up. All right, so the supports. If your students need some extra support, we'll start with out-of-school supports. A good place to start is your student's pediatrician. They know your student and can make referrals as needed. The AYCC is a great resource we have here right in town. Cartwheel is a virtual mental health counseling service, and those are referral based, so you need to connect with one of your student's school counselor in order to get that referral. And then there are also school, town, and state resources listed here on this slide for your reference. As for in-school supports, the school counselors are a great first point of contact for getting some extra help for your students. And the school counseling website has information about various resources, including our school social workers. The special programs that are listed here support students with various needs, and more information can be found about each of these programs in our program of studies. And next up is Miss Samantha Ferrari.
Hi everybody, can you all hear me okay? Yeah, okay, we just lowered it a little bit. So I'm Miss Ferrari. I'm gonna talk about the graduation requirements. We've listed them up here, they're in the program of studies, and we'll just get into it. So we need 4 years of English. This is the one area where you need all 4 years are required. We do 3 years of math, but we strongly recommend you do 4 years of math. Math for 4 years is usually required by all Massachusetts state colleges and universities. History, we also do 3 years. The third year can either be US 2, APUSH, or AP African American Studies. The students get autonomy to pick which ones they gravitate towards. For science, we do 3 years. Typically, students take physical science, biology, and then chemistry, and then they can also take a 4th year science if they're interested. For world language, we recommend 2 years of the same language. Colleges have different protocols for what they look for, but it depends on the school that you're looking at. So usually it's the same world language consecutively, so 9th grade and then 10th grade, or 10th and 11th. MA state colleges do require 2 years of the same language as well. And then community service. This one is where we see a little bit of lagging. Usually students just keep pushing it off, and then all of a sudden it's senior year and they need 40 hours and they're not quite sure how to do it. So we recommend 10 hours each year. It helps with balance. It helps them get there in a slow pace, but they meet the requirement. And service hours have to be unpaid and for a nonprofit organization. You can reach out to us if you need help finding things, but there are links on the school counseling website for you to access as well. I'm also going to talk about transcripts and GPA. So only final grades will show on the transcript for grades 9 through 11, and then senior year grades will show for each quarter when students are applying to college. Colleges are looking for students maintaining grades or showing what we like to call an upward trend or an upward trajectory. So if students didn't do as well as they wanted 9th grade, that's okay. We don't need to panic. We can just keep on moving and improving. They also want to see that students challenge themselves appropriately. A lot of colleges recalculate the GPA that we send to them on the transcript. They have their own algorithm to do that, and it's specific to each school usually. GPA is a moving number. It's calculated at the end of every school year, and you can find it on your student's Naviance account in their About Me section in their profile. So an example of this is 10th grade students, their GPA is from their final grades in 9th grade, and then for 11th graders, their GPA is their final grades from both 9th and 10th. We use weighted and unweighted GPA at Arlington High School. Weighted GPA holds honors and AP levels higher when calculating the GPA, and unweighted keeps them all the same. And then we do not report on class rank. I know that's a question that some people usually have. And then we wanted to put an example transcript up here for you guys to just see. It shows, as you can see, for 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, the courses taken, the level that they were taken at, so if it's advanced versus curriculum H versus an AP, and then the final grade that they received, and then the credits that they earned. Again, final grades for 9 through 11, and then the senior year has progress, so you can see up here the quarter 1 for senior year is posted with the grades, and then the potential credit that they can earn. And then weighted and unweighted GPA is all the way at the very, very bottom. And then the total earned credits also up here at the bottom. I will now welcome up Ms. Hirsch.
Hi everyone, I'm Kathy Hirsch, and I'm here to talk about the hot topic for the last week or two in our department with students, which is course selection for next year. Students were given a course selection worksheet in advisory a few weeks ago, and hopefully they brought that home and showed it to you. It was intended to be a tool for them to help reflect on how school's going now and think about what would be planful for them to do for next year. This was also an opportunity to talk with any teachers that they wanted feedback from in terms of classes or levels to choose for next year. We have a course selection website. If this is the first you're hearing of it, you can take a look. All of our resources are on there. There's the program of studies, which lists and describes all classes available to students for each grade level. We are asking that students input their course requests into PowerSchool by the end of the day tomorrow. This has caused some angst among students, to be honest. So we want them to put the requests in. After vacation, the students will be scheduled to come to our office with one of their classes, and we will each sit with them one-on-one to review their requests. We can make any changes that they want to make at that time. We can answer additional questions that they have. So the request that they're putting in by tomorrow is a sort of a draft or a starting point, and then we'll review that, like I said, for all of those things, and also for completion to make sure they've requested enough classes. The overall message that we give students is we want them to choose classes that are challenging and appropriate, and will allow them to have balance in their lives. So this is sort of the theme that we are giving all the way through high school. We want you to work hard, we want you to learn and grow, and we want you to be able to have time to do things that you enjoy, for extracurricular activities, for getting a lot of sleep at night, and feeling, well and healthy with the choices you're making in high school. We want to make sure that you're aware of academic help options that we have here at Arlington High. Asking for help is a part of learning and growing, and this is something that's sometimes hard for some of the students to do. So we do encourage students to use these resources. So the best place to begin is with the classroom teachers' extra help hours. So teachers will publish what their hours are. They may be before or after school, or during something that we have called X Block, when we have early release time on Tuesdays. So clearly the teachers know what the expectations are, they know what's coming up on tests and whatnot, so we really encourage students to use that resource. We also have something called the Learning Center that's available to all students at Arlington High. We have the hours posted there. It's a nice quiet space, sort of adjacent to the library. It's a classroom staffed by a teacher who's there to help students on request. So some students like to go there because it's a peaceful place to work, and then they know there's a resource there. They can ask for help. Maybe they have a paper they're starting and they need help getting started, or a lot of students will go there for like an extra help with math from a different teacher. So that's a great resource. We also have students who have been inducted into the National Honor Society who are offering peer tutoring to our students, and there's a link on the presentation to a request form for that. You can find that on our website as well. So students could request, maybe the subject is geometry that they want help with. They could request a one-on-one ongoing meeting with a student in National Honor Society. And we do the Honor Society does their best to match students for that. That's not always possible, but we can try. What is always available, though, are peer tutors through National Honor Society on a drop-in basis before and after school in the Media Center. And next we have Carolyn Ress.
Hi everybody, I'm Carolyn Ress, and I'm going to walk you through some of the features of Naviance. So Naviance is a comprehensive tool that students can complete tasks related to self-discovery and post-secondary planning and research. And so we use this all 4 years with students. They got accounts in 9th grade, and we meet with them in seminars each year to do relevant work in Naviance. So in 9th and 10th grade, we have students mostly doing self-assessments to learn more about themselves and maybe potential career matches that might be good fits based on their strengths. And then in 11th and 12th, we really go more into the college research where they can compare themselves to applicants from colleges, applicants to colleges from Arlington High School, so they can compare themselves to the data relevant for past 5 years. So it's a really, really great tool that has a lot of great features. Also, they complete a lot of different tasks related to the actual application process come 12th grade. So, and we go through this with them each year. So in 9th grade, students, in December, we met with our 9th graders and we had them do some surveys. They did one on multiple intelligences and then on learning and productivity. So they got full reports from these, and they can use this to, do further research about careers and what areas maybe they can improve upon and what their strengths are. In 10th seminars, we're going to be doing that in April, and students are going to be taking a sort of Myers-Briggs-like personality test and then also doing some career interest surveys, which will just continue the process of giving them some more information about themselves. Also, so parent accounts. If you are a 10th grade parent, you may or you should have received your accounts last year. And if you need help getting on, or if you never got that, you can email your student's counselor. And then for 9th grade parents, I'm hoping to get that out tomorrow. So to get the emails out, that will give you your login information that you'll be able to use and see all the features too. So this is just a screenshot of, in Naviance, the self-discovery assessments. So these are the different ones, and these give really comprehensive reports, and also counselors can reset these at any time. So students might want to take them later on in high school so that they can see if the results changed, or just take it again with more information. We can always do that. So there's a lot of information in these. And this is an example of a student's, the multiple intelligences survey. So it just breaks down based on how they answered the questions on where their strengths lie, and it gives some nice information about how to improve upon, maybe some areas that aren't as strong in their eyes. And just also what could be good fits for possible professions and careers. So it just starts the process of looking at that. And I'm not sure what you can actually see, but this is just a screenshot. Naviance has tons of career information, so it really goes into depth and gives a whole variety of info. Students can favorite these careers and start looking at them in a portfolio. They can look at what could be possible fits for them, and then what majors can lead to these different careers and what colleges have those majors. So it's just a really nice tool that they can use. And this is something, so sophomores will take the career cluster finder and the career interest profiler. So this is just an example. It shows the top 4 cluster matches. So kind of, fields, and then it shows a whole ranking of what looks like could be good possibilities based on their strengths and interests. So this gives some more. And then lastly, there is something that is a great feature, the portfolio builder and the resume builder. So the portfolio is a really nice time, and 9th and 10th grade is the perfect time to start. It's a nice placeholder just for students to start adding all of their extracurriculars, community service, any awards or achievements, or summer work, or maybe internships as they move through the years. Just it gives them a nice holistic view of everything that they've done, so that when it comes time to actually completing college applications or a resume for a job application, they just have everything in one place. So that's a nice feature that we introduced them to. And one more, sorry. This is, we do this more in 11th grade. We start the college search process. So this just shows students can search using different criteria that are important to them. And then it gives a really nice list of potential schools to start researching and comparing themselves to with their own data. So I will pass it on to Danielle Rakowski.
I'm the shortest in the department. All right, so Danielle Rakowski. Hi, everyone. I assume this is okay. You guys can hear me back there? All right. I always try to make a joke to start. I don't really have much to say today, except for this is what you've been waiting for, right? All of you, how colleges choose candidates, right? Yes? All right. I really don't like talking to freshman, sophomore parents about this, but here we go. So, super important, colleges look at students holistically. So it's just not all about the grades and stuff like that. So I'm just going to kind of break down what's important over 4 years. So number one piece is strength of high school transcript. So a lot has been talked about with grades and GPA, but it's really about how did students challenge themselves? Did they challenge themselves appropriately? Upward trends? What is the rigor? And how did students perform in the most challenging courses? So it's not about how many challenging courses they take, it's the full picture over 4 years. Okay, so I know that was already mentioned before. Upward trend, level of rigor, and appropriate balance and challenge.
Next is standardized test scores. So SAT or ACT, I'm only bringing this up now, but we only really recommend juniors try it for the first time during the springtime. Many schools are test optional, so please don't force your 9th and 10th graders to start studying for the SAT or ACT. Plenty of time and plenty of test optional schools if testing is not their strength. Extracurricular involvement. So this is something we start talking to freshmen about, and we continue with the sophomores. So it's not about quantity, right? It's not about how many activities. It's not about how many hours of community service. It's not about doing 1 hour, in 40 different places, or, 50 clubs and only going one time. It's truly about quality. We talk to freshmen and sophomores about picking that 1 or 2, those couple activities, whether it's in school, outside of school, to really try to commit to those and stick with it throughout the 3 to 4 years. So it's really, like I said, quality over quantity. And many freshmen really haven't started getting involved yet, and that's okay. All right, freshman year is about the transition. They're trying to figure themselves out, figure out what they want to take, and they're starting to get involved, whether clubs or sports or outside school stuff. So it's really about continuing that, finding their interests, and sticking with those throughout high school. Essay. So students do have to write a college essay, and so that is important. So we do talk to students about this mostly in junior and senior year. I'm bringing it up now because it definitely is an important part of the process. And essays can be topic of choice. So if there's always something that comes up, throughout their 4 years, they can always write about that. They'll have help from us, help from teachers, but it's just a part of the process. Teacher and counselor recommendations. So counselors write for all their students when they apply, and students also should ask 1 to 2 academic teachers. We recommend students not ask freshman or sophomore teachers. So it's something we talk about down the road, but I'm bringing this up because we really want students to learn how to connect, with us, but connect with teachers as well. Okay, sometimes they may have a repeat teacher, so counselor recommendations is an important part, teacher recommendation is an important part. So we really try to make those connections, and we want students to start learning how to make connections with teachers. Special talents and circumstances, colleges look at that as well. Standardized testing schedule. So MCAS, as we all are aware, it's not a graduation requirement. Okay, so Arlington High students can get a diploma without it, and we are having all students take the exams. So at the end of 9th grade, all students will take the science test, and then March and May of sophomore year, they'll take math and ELA. Okay, so like I said, it's not required for a diploma, but it is required by Arlington High to take the test. And I'll go into it in a second why it's important to take those tests. PSAT, we encourage, actually I shouldn't say we encourage, we do offer it to all sophomores. We ask all sophomores take the test, take the PSAT, and then it's optional for juniors, but we do highly recommend all juniors take the PSAT in the fall, October specifically, of their junior year. Sophomore year PSAT is strictly practice only. It means absolutely nothing, all right? Just to kind of get a feel of what an SAT might be like, standardized testing. Junior year, why we ask all juniors take the test is because there's something called National Merit Scholarship, and that only comes from the PSAT taken during junior year. All right, so pay attention to your emails and announcements about registration for incoming sophomores and incoming juniors next year. Like I said before, SAT, ACT, either or, spring of junior year, fall of senior year. And for any students that take AP exams or plan to take APs, Students must be enrolled in an AP course here to be able to take the AP exam. So in other words, you can't just randomly sign up for AP exams if you're not taking the class. There are many review options for practice tests, whether I don't recommend practicing for PSAT, but there are plenty of standardized prep options. We have that listed on our school counseling website. And just to keep in mind that exams, whether it's PSAT, ACT, AP, truly, it's only one part of the process. Okay, nothing is fully revolved around these standardized testing scores. If your students need any kind of fee waivers for AP exams or SAT, ACT, PSAT, please have your student contact their school counselor. We do have some fee waivers available. And if anyone needs accommodations, that's also a conversation that you should be having with your student's counselor. Now, this is why I brought up the MCAS earlier. So the MCAS, based on scores, there are 2 scholarships available to students that want to attend UMass state schools and universities. So there's the Coplick and Adams. Students don't find out until probably fall of senior year whether or not they're eligible, but these scholarships cover tuition at these schools. So anywhere between probably like $800 and $1,700 a year, depending on the college. So it's important that students take the MCAS and take it seriously. They don't have to prep, but they don't have to rush through it. They can just take their time, and hopefully based on their scores, they can earn these scholarships. So the Coplick is 1 advanced, 2 proficient. Okay, it doesn't matter what sections. And then the Adams is 1 advanced, 2 proficient, and top 25% of the district. So what's nice is these are renewable. The big difference is the Coplick students need a 3.3 in college, and the Adams, students have to maintain a 3.0. But they're great. And we'll talk more about this as you sit here in these meetings, in 10th, 11th, 12th grade meetings. If students get both, we always recommend they choose the Adams because it's lower criteria and they just have to submit their award. All right, I'm going to bring up Matt Ruane. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Rakowski. Good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Matt Ruane. I'm going to be hopping in with Get Involved. I just want to go over a few things before we get into our Q&A portion of tonight's presentation. First thing we want to encourage your students to do is get involved. It's, as Ms. Rakowski said, it's not just about joining 10 different clubs or sports teams, but it is about doing something. All right, as underclassmen, it's a great opportunity to explore new interests. And if your students try something new and they don't take to it, that's okay, all right? They don't have to continue. But maybe they do find 1 or 2 things that they do take to. And the goal there is to, by the time they're upperclassmen, do things consistently, do things at a high level, and hopefully obtain leadership positions in those activities. All right, as you can see here, we have links to our school clubs and athletic teams. It might be worth your students checking these out. This information can also be found on our school website. And we also have our community service webpage, which is great for students looking to learn more about the community service graduation requirement. But there's also a list of various opportunities for students who are looking to start their community service. All right, we encourage students to do something that they enjoy. But again, we're happy to help facilitate that if they have any questions. All right, so I just want to go over a few things, recap what we've talked about tonight. Remember just to keep things in perspective, okay? Your students right now seem ambitious, right? They have goals for high school, goals for after high school. All right, we want to support them in those goals. However, we need to remember that they have growing and developing teenage brains, all right? So we need to practice patience as much as we can. Student well-being is our top priority, all right? I wish we could bold that. Their feeling safe and supported in school is what's most important to us. And then after that, we can address academics and academic engagement. Balance is so important. Okay, we want your students to have lives outside of the classroom. All right, we want them to be involved. We want them to be social. We want them to be well rested, in addition to being good students. Communication and collaboration are key. All right, so most problems come about when things are not properly communicated. So we're always encouraging your students to ask questions, to meet with teachers when things are unclear. And in that same vein, we want you folks to reach out to teachers if you ever have concerns as well. We're also here to support both your students and you. So same thing goes for the school counselors. Please reach out to us if you guys ever have questions or concerns or things that we can help you with. All right, here's some district resources I just wanted to make you aware of. We have our APS Family Support Request Form. We have our Arlington Community Resources link. We have our APS Family School Partnership Guide. All right, at your convenience, please take a look at these websites and links. You know, we're fortunate enough to have a lot to offer to our students and families in the district. Also, for any families who may need to access food over the February break, please reach out to your school counselor, your student school counselor tomorrow, and we can further assist with that, okay? Finally, just want to plug our virtual coffee hour tomorrow, okay? So from 9 to 9:45, we're going to have Zoom calls where you folks are more than welcome to come ask questions, learn a little bit more. Just make sure that you click on the link that corresponds with your student's counselor, okay? Please note this is not mandatory, but we welcome all to join, and we're happy to see whoever's able to make it tomorrow. And final shout out to ACMi for recording tonight's presentation. You guys are the best, much appreciated, okay? And now I'm gonna kick it back over to Mr. O'Brien.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wayne, and I second that. Thank you so much, ACMi, for recording tonight. I know you had 4 big events happening at the same time, so I appreciate you being here. This QR code is not for the coffee hour. This QR code is, again, for anyone who just came in late or didn't sign in yet. If you could sign in, that would be very helpful. So there's an email that I sent out with all the links for each of the counseling groups here for tomorrow morning's coffee hour if you're joining them. And remember, it is virtual. So not that I don't mind if you bring me a coffee tomorrow morning. No, you don't have to do that. It's virtual, so keep that in mind. This is just a nicer way to get into a smaller group and ask a little bit more personal questions because we're going to do a Q&A now, and we're going to try to keep the questions as general as we can. And tomorrow is the day before a vacation. So if you've ever worked with children, you know